simultaneously acting as a stand-in for three young ladies' lost loves. I pour my heart into it, working diligently and profitably. Miss Marchant says her lost love has returned and wants to break up. I gaze at her with a sorrowful, longing look. Her heart softens, and she writes me an additional cheque. Miss Chalkley claims she's found a more convincing replacement and wants to end things. I remain silent, looking down dejectedly as I place a carefully made cupcake on her desk. Moved, she instructs her assistant to transfer the deed of a penthouse in the city center to my name. Until Miss Gillian Carver, with a cold expression, simply states, "It's over," without explanation. I'm a bit miffed now and can't help but blurt out, "You're breaking up with me too?" Miss Carver raises an eyebrow, her voice icy. "What do you mean, too? Bollocks. I've really put my foot in it now." Ding. StoryShots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. She's back. "You should go," Meredith Marchant said coldly. I froze for a moment. 3 seconds later, I lowered my head, and when I looked up again, my eyes were already red-rimmed. My face turned slightly pale, and my body seemed to sway in the daylight. Meredith pursed her red lips, turned around, and leaned over her desk, scribbling something quickly. "This is your compensation. Crispin is back. I have no choice." Brilliant. I almost broke character when I saw the string of zeros, but I quickly pinched my thigh hard, causing a tear to fall directly. With a trembling voice, I asked, "Is there really no chance?" To be honest, this sadness wasn't entirely fake. After all, in today's world, it's not easy to find such a lucrative arrangement with someone so gullible and wealthy. Meredith, looking somewhat regretful, stuffed the check into my hand and wrapped her arms around my back. In her husky, mature voice, she said, "You'll find someone better." "Not at all," I immediately denied in my heart. "I've been in this game for years now. It's rare to find such an easy mark." I slowly pushed her hand away and said softly, "I understand." With that, I left directly. Meredith tried to hold me back, but she wasn't quick enough. An hour later, I had packed my bags and left the manor, leaving no trace of my existence behind. After frantically transferring the £8 million to my bank account, I finally felt at ease. Suddenly, Meredith sent me another message. "Where are you?" This was understandable. After all, in her eyes, I was the poor boy toy who loved her desperately. Perhaps in her imagination, I should be crying in some small rented flat. But in reality, several young, beautiful masseuses were working hard to massage my shoulders and feet. They were using their fair, slender fingers to peel grapes and feed me red wine. I was so comfortable that I didn't even want to lift an eyelid, let alone reply to a single message. As a result, for the next 2 or 3 days, Meredith kept calling and messaging me incessantly. I found it rather perplexing. Hadn't her true love returned? Actually, I should have replied. As a professional stand-in for someone's lost love, I ought to prioritize my clients. Who knows, maybe the boss will realize his old flame has faded and come back to support my business again. Looking at my studio's financial report and my bank balance, I reluctantly sent Meredith Marchant a message. "All is well. Don't worry." The fewer messages sent, the more one thinks about it. The more you say, "Don't worry," the more they worry. I know human nature all too well. The next day, I styled my hair nicely, baked a cake myself, and went to the Chalkley group. Rowena Chalkley, the chairman's most beloved youngest daughter, one of the 4 princesses of high society. This young lady's extravagance could rival Meredith Marchant's, spending money like water. As soon as I opened the door, I saw a young man sitting next to her, the two of them in an intimate embrace. I paused. I didn't even need to act. My mood plummeted to rock bottom. Seeing it was me, Rowena hurriedly pushed the man away and tried to cover it up with a little cough. Barnaby, you should go now." The male celebrity gave me an annoyed look before reluctantly walking out. Unlike Meredith Marchant's frail, pretty boys, Rowena Chalkley preferred stubborn young wolves, so I just remained silent with my eyes downcast. "As you can see, he's more like Bertram from back then. Let's break up," she said after a long pause. I finally replied, "All right." Then I quickly stepped forward. Speaking rapidly with a trembling voice, I carefully placed the cake down. "I won't cling to you. I know you love sweets, so I spent a long time making this little cake." But then I looked up at her, earnestly, sadly, my voice getting quieter and quieter. "Could you not share it with him? I made it just for you," begging pitifully. Finally, there were unshed tears in my eyes, but I still gazed at her steadily. She became a bit flustered and handed me a tissue, taking a step forward. But I stepped back. "Ah," she sighed, "I'll eat the cake." Then she started dialing an internal phone number. "Tell Dad to put that flat in the city center under Gareth's name. This is all I can do. Take it. Please forgive me." My heart skipped a beat, pausing for a second. The next moment, I tearfully shouted, "Do you think this is what I want?" With that, I ran out of the office, not even taking the lift, running straight to the fire escape, laughing to myself. "I'm sorry, but this is exactly what I wanted." I heard that Rowena Chalkley came after me, looking for me everywhere. At that time, I was busy moving house. This flat was considered small, but it still sold for over £3 million. I had agreed with the seller to complete the transaction in a month, so I planned to move in for a while first. I was close to reaching my goal, but before I could enjoy it for long, I was called to the office by Miss Gillian Carver that afternoon. The woman's voice was cool, her tone low. "Let's break up." The same thing happening 3 times in a row would try even a saint's patience. So I instinctively said, "You want to break up with me too?" Realizing what I'd said, I immediately covered my mouth, desperately wanting to slap myself. Gillian Carver raised an eyebrow, her eyes cold as ice. "What do you mean by two?" My throat tightened, unable to utter a word. Then I saw the woman lazily drape her stockinged legs on the desk. She then beckoned to me from behind her desk, expressionless, and said, "Come here." Seeing that I didn't move, Gillian Carver stood up and walked over. I immediately backed away, saying softly, No, it's not necessary. I wish you good fortune, all the best, and a happy breakup." But just as I reached the door, her high-heeled leg kicked it shut. Then Gillian Carver leaned against the door. She smiled lightly, but her eyes were chilling. Her icy queen-like voice rang out. "Come on, translate for me. What does you want to break up with me to mean?" "Well, that's..." I laughed awkwardly. "You're two-timing?" I shook my head immediately. "Or is it three-timing?" I froze, and her smile turned cold. She raised her hand, and I immediately stepped back several paces. I started to explain and argue. "I know this violates the agreement, but you're pursuing your true love. I'm just being your stand-in. It's just taking on a few extra jobs in my spare time. At worst, I won't take your money." "Wait, that's not right." "No, we haven't actually signed a contract yet, have we?" Remembering this, I immediately stood up straight. At the time, old Alaric Vaughan said he'd introduced me to similar business, saying it was for the CEO of Carver Group. We'd been in contact but never signed a contract. I thought the head of such a big company wouldn't skimp on my small fee, so I didn't pay much attention. "Ha! Now it's perfect." My back immediately straightened. "Fine, let's break up. We didn't sign a contract anyway, so don't think about making me pay compensation." "What contract?" Her brows furrowed slightly. "The stand-in contract, of course. I won't take your money." "What a shame. After half a year of accompanying you for meals, sleep, and outings." I counted, feeling both sentimental and regretful. Gillian Carver's beautiful eyes darkened, and she spoke each word clearly, her voice as clear as spring water. "Are you saying these 5 months, our dates, meals, movies, and even, it was all for money?" The last sentence was almost through gritted teeth. I was a bit confused, but I'm a professional stand-in, an actor, it's my job. She lowered her head and closed her eyes. After a long while, I saw her eyes turn red, and her voice began to tremble. "Then did you, with others? I mean, did you do that With other people? She couldn't finish a sentence, being indirect and unclear. But it made my heart skip a beat, feeling strange. It was as if we were really in a relationship. You mean sleeping together? No, I sell my art, not my body. Then that time it was all fake, harmless hallucinogens. She suddenly let out a sigh of relief, then deflated like a punctured balloon. You can go. I left the office in a daze, thinking this matter was over, until at a party, I saw 3 stylishly different ladies in evening gowns sitting at one table. Then, they all looked at me at once. To be honest, I really wanted to turn and run. Meredith Marchant, exuding a cold elegance, wore an impeccably pressed white gown that accentuated her noble bearing. Rowena Chalkley was dressed in a provocative, low-cut burgundy dress that hinted at her pale décolletage. Gillian Carver, in a striking black gown, not only highlighted her tall, graceful figure, but also amplified her already imposing presence. 3 of London's 4 socialite princesses were here. Each possessed their own unique beauty, creating quite a picturesque scene. But I dared not look. I feared they might be plotting my demise. I drew a sharp breath, turning to find a more discreet corner. That's when I heard someone call my name from behind. Gareth Kirkland. It was a soft, sweet voice. Rowena Chalkley's voice. I steadied myself, gritted my teeth, and reluctantly turned back. To my surprise, all 3 women had approached me. Rowena continued with a playful tone. I thought you said you wouldn't pursue me anymore? Yet here you are, following me to this event. Meredith's brow furrowed slightly as she glanced at Rowena. Then she said, Why haven't you been answering my calls? I've been worried about you. I felt increasingly anxious. Instinctively, I looked towards Gillian. Her eyes were cold as she said sternly, Indeed, I'd like to know the answers to their questions as well. I froze for 3 seconds, feeling a headache coming on. Meredith was the first to react. She stepped forward and gently massaged my temples. Since you left me, you can't even take care of yourself. Crispin is busy today. Would you be my escort? Before I could refuse, Rowena pulled me away. He came here for me. Why should he be your escort? As the 2 began to argue, I tried to catch Gillian's eye, wondering if she had said anything. To my surprise, she spoke up languidly. I don't have an escort either. I was speechless. Meanwhile, the other 2, unable to resolve their dispute, began to make offers. Gareth, be my escort, and next month for the red carpet event, I'll gift you a full Zegna bespoke suit. Well, that sounds good. My eyes lit up. A suit? That's nothing. Gareth darling, how about a black Ferrari LaFerrari? Think about it. My eyes grew even brighter. Following the pattern, it should be Gillian's turn. Her expression remained cold and indifferent as she uttered 2 words. Nothing. I waved my hand, eliminating her from the competition. Are you having an auction? Then I'll offer The Willow and Green Hills by the renowned artist William Turner. The voice was clear and pleasant. I immediately looked over. It was Winifred Calvert. Now the 4 London socialite princesses were complete. She was also one of my targets for tonight. I adjusted my tie and stepped forward, ready to introduce myself charmingly. That's when I heard Gillian's cool voice. Gareth Kirkland, you'd better choose very, very carefully. The threat was unmistakable. My smile froze. Perhaps you'd like to add something to your offer? Maybe a Rolex Cosmograph Daytona or… Gillian shook her head, her slender fingers caressing her wine glass. Nothing. I suspect Gillian Carver is here to ruin my evening. As the soft music plays, Gillian opens her mouth. What are you doing here today? I have business to attend to, I reply coldly, my eyes still searching for my target. Fishing for women? I can't discern any emotion in her voice. I'm not particularly annoyed, but I don't feel like responding to her either. Gillian snorts. Gold digger with a pea brain. I immediately frown at her. Because I'm richer than all of them, she explains. But you're stingy. I retort instantly, looking down as I start counting. On our first date, you treated me to your company's canteen. For holidays, it's always some awful little sweets. And for Christmas, the gift was actually merchandise from your company. While Meredith Marchant started by giving me a six-figure credit card, and Rowena Chalkley later gave me a flat in the city center. Gillian's face grows darker. Before I can finish, she interrupts. Do you really want to discuss your timing here? I immediately cover my mouth. Then I lower my head and defend myself quietly. Don't spread rumors. I'm a clean and honest contracted stand-in. I just took on a few extra jobs. You capitalists will never understand the struggles of U.S. common folk. As I'm speaking, I catch a glimpse of Winifred Calvert leaving. My heart skips a beat. I push Gillian aside and quickly say, I need to use the loo. Then I follow Winifred without a second thought. I don't see Gillian's ice-cold gaze. The entire meeting was a resounding success. Even in a place like the lavatory, Winifred Calvert's refined upbringing was unmistakable. I had to exert considerable effort to contain my inner jubilation. Then, at a corner, a figure suddenly appeared, colliding with my chest. I froze. The woman pressed against my chest extended her pale fingers, ghosting them along my neck, causing me to shiver involuntarily. Then, a sultry voice whispered in my ear, If you're fishing for women, why not try catching me, Her tone lilted upwards at the end, her breath warm against my skin. In an instant, it felt as if something exploded in my mind, and my face flushed crimson. Couldn't help it. The leading lady was simply too beautiful. The male protagonist struggled to maintain his composure. The atmosphere grew increasingly heated. Then, in the next moment, Gillian Carver was kicked to the ground. The two women began to brawl. It's hard to say if Rowena Chalkley truly fancied me. It was more likely her possessiveness at play. Her outburst actually cleared my head a bit. In any case, the three of us have nothing to do with each other anymore. I'm just a struggling D-list actor trying to make a living. Please, leave me be. If you must fight, wait until I'm gone. With that, I brushed off my suit and made a run for it. To my dismay, there wasn't a single taxi at the entrance, just a familiar black Bentley. I glanced back to see the two of them walking towards the exit. In a split-second decision, I hurried over to the car. Driver, please go now. As soon as I spoke, I realized how cramped and awkward the atmosphere was. Meredith Marchant was leaning over to fasten a necklace on the handsome chap next to her. I had unceremoniously occupied the seat beside them. The gentleman, understanding the situation, immediately scooted over. He and I looked about 70% alike. It all made sense now. I gave an ingratiating smile. Miss Marchant, would it be possible for us to drive off now? Meredith looked at me, then at the two approaching the car, her smile enigmatic. She drawled, We're practically besties. Say hello. I immediately reached for the car door, but Meredith stopped me. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I really should have checked my horoscope before leaving home. Talk about rotten luck. Rowena's smile didn't reach her eyes. Sister Meredith, you're quite the lucky one. Meredith's lips curled upwards. You're too kind. Gillian Carver, however, turned to me. So this is your choice? I could only turn to the handsome chap in the car. Oh, are you Crispin Blackwood? That suit looks smashing on you. Where's it from? And your physique is impressive too. Which gym do you go to? Maybe we could work out together sometime. I rattled off at lightning speed while slowly closing the window. As soon as it was fully shut, I immediately shouted to the front, Driver, everyone's here. Let's go. The car sped away, and Meredith's smile faded, replaced by a scrutinizing look. How did you two meet? She asked. I turned to look at Meredith, then leaned forward slightly. What did Crispin study abroad? Does he want to enter the entertainment industry now that he's back? Meredith lost her patience. Gareth, I interrupted her. Thank you, you can drop me off here. She suddenly grabbed my hand. I immediately tried to pull away. Miss Marchant, our contract has ended. Don't make Crispin jealous. He's my brother. So you two, That's quite thrilling, isn't it? I'm not sure if it was because of the uncontrollable fire of gossip in my eyes, or if Meredith was embarrassed and angry. Either way, I was kicked out of the car. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. Beside me was a field of rapeseed flowers. There were no taxis around, even though I might have to walk all night. I felt surprisingly calm, even a bit excited. Everything was over, and my dream could finally begin. Headlights lit up behind me. I turned back but couldn't see clearly, so I moved to the side of the road. A red Lamborghini with its lights off stopped beside me. "Get in," came a voice. Those eyes were intense. It was Gillian Carver. I couldn't figure out her intentions, and I was afraid she might seek revenge later, so I obediently got in the car. She asked for my address and seemed a bit surprised, then immediately became cold again. When we arrived at my building, I bowed slightly. "Thank you, Miss Carver. I appreciate your trouble." Gillian didn't say anything but followed me into the lift. You can just drop me off downstairs." "Thanks, you don't need to come up. This building is very safe." I walked quickly, preparing to open my door and go in. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the woman open the door to the flat next to mine. I couldn't believe it. Talk about being unable to escape your nemesis. I couldn't afford to dwell on it any longer. After calculating the available funds, I issued a directive in the production team's group chat, and the preliminary preparations began. I, Gareth Kirkland, a D-list actor, was about to become a director. It was to be an art house film based on my parents' love story, depicting the rich tapestry of life they experienced in their era. For me personally, I'm a theater fanatic, eager to create a great film. For my late father and my mother, who has forgotten much, this was their wish. So for this, I was willing to do anything. If I had been more assertive in response to Gillian Carver's questioning, I might have said, 3 ships? That's nothing. I could chain together an entire fleet. When it comes to acting, I'm a professional. Much of the preliminary work could be done at home, which was like having a mini holiday to recuperate. I had prepared myself for late nights, gaming sessions, sleeping in, ordering takeaways, and occasionally checking work reports, a comfortable lifestyle. But at 6 in the morning on the second day, the doorbell rang, and I had just put down my tablet at 5. "What is it?" I asked irritably. Gillian Carver looked at me and chuckled. "Why do you look like this?" I turned my head to see in the mirror that my already messy hair had been tousled into a bird's nest by the woman. I squinted at her. She coughed lightly to cover up, hiding her smile behind her hand. "I brought you breakfast. Eat it while it's hot." I took it, grimaced, and closed the door. Back to bed for a lion. At first, I thought she was just being impulsive, until she rang the doorbell for a week straight. Then I understood. This was her revenge. So, at 2 in the morning one night, I brought some kebabs and rang Gillian Carver's doorbell. I was ready to see her annoyed face. But when the door opened, an expanse of white first entered my view. The woman was leaning against the doorframe in a lace nightgown. Her rare lazy demeanor was in stark contrast to her usual cool composure. "What brings you here?" Without a word, I handed over the kebabs, shut the door with a thud, and patted my stomach. Didn't I just have a midnight snack? Why am I hungry again? As the pre-production phase neared its end, the casting process officially began. The entertainment industry is a competitive field with low entry barriers, making it quite challenging to find good actors. After several days of auditions, just as we were about to wrap up, the producer mysteriously rushed over to inform me that we could secure additional investment. There's no such thing as a free lunch. This is a period piece. We can manage with our current budget if we're careful. "You should decline the offer," I said. Seeing that I continued to pack up my things, the producer's expression turned serious, his face filled with anxiety. "We can't afford to offend this young lady. Don't you want your film to be released and consider box office returns? Is it really that serious?" I felt he was exaggerating, but I agreed to meet with the person first. A woman dressed in luxury brands and sunglasses was lounging on the sofa. As she removed her sunglasses, she let out a laugh. Well, if it isn't a familiar face. It's an honor to be acquainted with Miss Chalkley. As for the gentleman beside you, please begin your audition, I said, addressing both of them without bothering with pleasantries. Rowena Chalkley, however, pushed the producer aside and came to sit next to me. Quite accomplished, aren't we? Cozying up to Meredith Marchant and Gillian Carver. Gareth, you really do surprise me, she said. I brushed off her wandering hand and pointed to the young man she was sponsoring, who was now performing. Please respect an actor's performance. She waved her hand dismissively. 10 minutes later, I was stunned. I felt he had shown no respect for my eyes. I cleared my throat softly. I'm sorry, but you don't quite fit our character requirements at the moment. The man auditioning, however, ignored me completely, looking at Rowena with a pitiful expression. Your production budget is only about £5 million, right? I can invest another £5 million to let him play the lead role, Rowena said casually, her attitude infuriating me. But in the end, I could only grit my teeth and force out 3 words. Not necessary. Are you sure? We can negotiate the price. £6 million? £8 million? Surely not £10 million. Rowena's expression showed some surprise, then changed to a nonchalant sigh. Gareth, you're being a bit greedy. Do you know I can shut down your production in a minute? Unable to contain my anger any longer, I slammed the table and stood up. Not necessary. How many times do I have to say it? Rowena Chalkley, take your talentless boy toy and leave. Rowena was startled by my outburst. My, aren't we feisty? Our family owns shopping centers. Don't you need screens for your film's release? With that one sentence, I froze. I quickly put on a smile. Rowena, I'm sorry. Please forgive my rudeness. But she had another question. Was your previous docility all an act? We have a contract, don't we? I'm an actor, a professional, I said, patting my chest. The woman seemed somewhat distracted, as if thinking about something. But I'm still quite upset. I smiled, though it didn't reach my eyes. I no longer spoke with deference. Miss Chalkley, I'm very poor. There was a time when I would do many things for money. But now this is my dream, I said. I pointed to the set, then continued word by word. I've prepared for 8 years. If you dare touch it, I'll fight you to the death. That day, Rowena Chalkley didn't cause any trouble. Later, for some unknown reason, she started frequenting my film set. My true nature, especially when it came to acting, was laid bare before her eyes. Why didn't the props department check everything beforehand? Are your eyes just for show? Who's going to take responsibility if something goes wrong? I berated the props team, the costume department, the actors, and the assistants. Nearly everyone on set got an earful from me. Sometimes I felt like a firecracker myself. But those imperfections caused by their mistakes in the entire production were like nails on a chalkboard to me, utterly unbearable. Rowena handed me a thermos. Here, have some pear tea. It'll cool you down. I didn't take it, instead asking her, what are you doing here again? Miss Chalkley folded her arms, surveying the set. I'm here to see how your filming is going, to determine how many screenings it deserves. In an instant, I turned to my assistant. Quick, bring out the executive chair from the office. And that umbrella too. Oh, and get a matcha frappuccino with extra ice. Rowena turned her head and smiled, somewhat meaningfully. You still remember what I like to drink? I looked at her without saying a word. She spoke with great confidence. You still love me. I patted her shoulder and turned back to the monitor. It would be best if she could maintain this delusion until the film was finished. At lunchtime, my assistant brought food, while Rowena had ordered takeaway. She paused when she saw my lunchbox. Who sent this? I was eating heartily while looking over the script, and casually replied, Don't know, probably not poison though. This is from the Carver family's Thousand Houses restaurant. I paused for a second, then made a non-committal sound. Oddly, I felt as if someone was watching us, but it couldn't be Gillian Carver. She's not that obsessive. However, that evening I understood why I had that feeling. Breaking news. London's three princesses accompany new boyfriend on film set. Intimate dining sparks romance rumors. Seeing this article, I wasn't too worried. I hired some social media influencers to promote the film in the comments, treating it as free publicity. After all, why waste free promotion? So the next day, 3 more women showed up, for heiresses sitting in a row, completely captivating the entire set's attention. My head was throbbing. "What are you lot doing here again?" Crispin asked. Meredith Marchant retorted. "If she can be here, why can't I?" Gillian Carver mused. "Eating my food while flirting with others?" Crispin turned to Winifred Calvert. "Your scenes don't start filming for a few more days." Winifred nodded. "True. I'm just here to join the fun." "Crispin." The curious glances from the crew persisted, and Crispin couldn't take it anymore. "Are you 4 conjoined quadruplets? Must you do everything together? Do you think you're a girl band? The entertainment building is right next door. If you're really that bored, you can debut together. Just stop being a nuisance here. All right?" Rowena Chalkley, used to Crispin's outbursts, raised her hand. "My family owns a cinema chain." Meredith caught on quickly. "Well, my family owns the top media company. Don't you need promotion for this film?" Gillian chimed in. "The 3 major streaming platforms are all controlled by Carver Group." Winifred looked a bit confused. "Oh? Are we comparing again, sisters? Let me think. Isn't your uncle the dean of the art department? He could design the posters. He's a traditional landscape painter. That would be such a waste of his talents." Meredith and Rowena started bickering again. Crispin couldn't stand it anymore. He beckoned to the producer. "Call the paparazzi." Gillian, lounging in Crispin's director's chair, dismissed his action. "No need for that. In London, they can't publish anything without our approval first." Amidst the chaos and commotion, struggling to bear it all, I seemed to have an epiphany under the scorching sun. Every gift had already been priced by fate. This was the consequence of my past misdeeds in pursuit of quick money. Time flew by swiftly. It wasn't until the secretary brought a lunch box to Gillian Carver that she stood up, placed it on the table, and handed me the cutlery. I finally asked the question I hadn't had the chance to before. "Why do you always bring me lunch?" As soon as I spoke, the other 3 turned to look at me. Gillian didn't seem to mind, opening the lunchbox and arranging it on the table. Then her gaze fixed on me, her starry eyes focused. Her voice was neither loud nor soft, but all 3 present could hear. "Can't you tell? I'm pursuing you." For a moment I was stunned. Gillian Carver leaned in close, whispering enticingly, "Isn't it nice to have those 3 nuisances kicked out? They wouldn't dare do anything with me around." Gillian, clearly seasoned in the business world, knew exactly how to get to the heart of the matter with just 1 sentence. I immediately caught on and pulled her into my arms. "Darling, you're so thoughtful. I'll cook for you next time." "Darling." Meredith Marchant's brow furrowed slightly. Rowena Chalkley, displeased, retorted, "What's so thoughtful about her ordering takeaway?" Winifred Calvert raised her hand. "I'm hungry too." Gillian ignored them, leaning into my embrace and handing me the script. "You focus on your script. I'll feed you." My heart was twisting like a pretzel, but with the other 3 watching, I had no choice but to go along with it. As I ate bite by bite, I gradually immersed myself in the storyline, seriously considering how to deliver the lines with the right tone. A spoonful of food came towards me. I instinctively turned to eat it, but the spoon kept moving away. As I chased after the food, she planted a kiss on my forehead. At that moment, I was shocked. Had Ms. Gillian Carver been possessed? Where did she learn such a cheesy, outdated move? Gillian's expression remained as calm as if what had just happened was merely my imagination. But the looks on Meredith and Rowena's faces, as if they'd just swallowed flies, told me it had indeed occurred. Meredith reacted the quickest, picking up her phone with a click, fiddling with it before speaking. "I've sent it to your mum. Hope she'll be pleased with your D-list son-in-law." Gillian nodded, completely unfazed. "I wonder if Mr. Marchant knows about you and your brother." Meredith froze, then quickly operated her phone again before standing up. It's still within 2 minutes. I've recalled it. Goodbye. Rowena was just starting to enjoy the drama. Gillian casually turned her attention to her. I hear Mr. Chalkley wants to increase capital and expand shares this year. With the young Ms. Chalkley neglecting her duties and coming here every day to ogle someone else's boyfriend, it's going to be hard for Carver Group to invest. Rowena looked incredulous, jumping to her feet. Gillian Carver, you'd give up a multi-billion-pound deal for a man? Her voice was so loud it made me look up, but Gillian remained as cool and collected as ever, though her words carried immense weight. Of course not. I'm just suggesting the Chalkley family give up on you. Wouldn't Stella Chalkley do? Or perhaps, the Chalkley family has many branches. Why should your line always be at the top? Rowena stared at Gillian intently, realizing she wasn't joking. She then gave me a long, hard look. Lowering her gaze, she suddenly laughed. Oh, come on, Gilly. Don't be like that. We've grown up together. I've been out of line these past few days. Brother-in-law, my apologies. I'll take my leave. And just like that, another one was gone. I felt a surge of admiration. Gillian then turned to Winifred. The young girl couldn't withstand such an intimidating presence and quickly stood up. Gee, Gilly, I'm off to get some food. With a large area now cleared, I felt much more at ease. Brilliant. I gave Gillian a thumbs up. Your girlfriend is so impressive. Shouldn't you show some appreciation? Gillian chuckled. Her voice filled with delight as her fingertips ghosted over my chest. Summer clothes are thin, and I felt my face flush almost instantly. Her gentle, focused gaze was like being wrapped in a giant, soft candy floss. I felt as if I was under a spell. Slowly leaning in, I quickly gave her a peck. It's not that I'm overly dedicated to my work. It's just that this film simply won't sink in. Every now and then, my mind wanders back to this afternoon when Gillian Carver was sitting on my lap, and I took the initiative to kiss her. I recall when we first got together and went to see a movie. She kissed me as the credits rolled. The cool summer breeze blows, and I touch my cheek, feeling it's a bit warm. It's truly messing with my mind. Mr. Kirkland, aren't you going to sleep yet? The last props crew member has finished work and greets me. I stand up. I'm heading to bed now. You should get some rest too. I thought perhaps a good night's sleep would make me feel normal again. But in reality, I lay awake until 1 in the morning. Then I suddenly sat up, as if struck by lightning. I drove 50 miles. By nearly 2 o'clock, I was standing at Gillian Carver's doorstep, knocking more and more urgently. Gillian Carver answered, bleary-eyed and somewhat surprised. She probably hadn't expected me to come. Has something happened? I crossed my arms. You haven't made me your ideal man, have you? My heart was racing. Unable to bear the silence, I immediately added, I've saved up enough money. I'm not going to be a stand-in anymore. Without waiting for her reply, I turned to leave. I had unilaterally decided to end this relationship. But the woman grabbed my arm. I don't have an ideal man. I was taken aback, somewhat puzzled. Then why did you approach me in the first place? Hearing my question, Gillian Carver laughed in exasperation, gritting her teeth. Going to the cinema, having dinner at the company, introducing you to everyone. What do you think I was doing? Her voice was a bit loud, and I shrank back a little. But inside, I was overjoyed. Seeing that I didn't respond, Gillian Carver sighed. I don't know why you've developed so many misunderstandings, but I've always been serious. If that's the case, let me say it again. Gareth Kirkland, let's be together. Seriously, how strange. My steps felt as heavy as lead when I arrived. Yet, as I turned to leave, I felt as light as a feather. Would you like to stay at mine? Gillian Carver asked softly, her cheeks flushed. No, that's all right. I hastily waved my hand and walked a few steps to my room, fumbling for the keys in my wallet. But there was nothing there. Gillian leaned against the doorframe, grinning mischievously. Come on then, my new boyfriend. At that moment, I felt a bit embarrassed, taking slow steps towards her. Thinking back to a month ago, I was still a smooth-talking player, swimming effortlessly through the dating pool. There's a difference between casual interest and genuine feelings. Your place is so spacious, I observed, noting that it was nearly twice the size of Rowena Chalkley's flat. Yes, I bought it thinking we could live here together. The woman's voice was husky, tinged with a hint of sadness. Well, I've sold my house and need to move out by the end of the month. Would you like me to move in here? I looked at her. The woman hesitated, then said, "No." She then girlishly buried herself in my embrace. "I'll drop you off tomorrow morning. Give me your keys, and I'll move your things myself." I've always known what I wanted to do, never caring whether I could achieve it or what the outcome might be. 8 years ago, my classmates thought I was mad, delusional, even laughing at my scripts. 5 years ago, a producer told me, "Don't bite off more than you can chew, lad." 3 years ago, old Alaric from the agency said I should know which way the wind blows. That self-respect means bugger all when it comes to money. Yet, at the film premiere, there were still critics who never looked up, saying I was rubbish here and there, just out to make a quick quid. But when I saw my mum in tears at the end, I knew nothing else mattered. I had succeeded. Their era had been brought back to life in a different way. Memories, like a reluctant lover, were making their final farewell. The market for art films isn't big. Many cinemas weren't optimistic. The screening rate was low. However, due to Gillian Carver, the Chalkley Group cinemas still gave face. With Gillian Carver's support, a series of promotional campaigns followed. Add to that the rave reviews. The box office, which hadn't even reached £10 million in the first month of release, directly broke £50 million in the second month, and eventually accumulated over £80 million. This could be called a miracle for an art film made by a small director. The money hitting my account was enough to make me grin in my sleep. As promised, I was preparing to throw a celebration party at the end of the month. I went to Gillian Carver's office. After waiting a while, I overheard, "Why are you trying so hard?" Even recommending it to Venice and Cannes. My family owns cinemas, his film is good. But leaving an 8 out of 10 online review and making sure he doesn't lose money at the box office is good enough. You're just being stupid. If you help his career take off, who knows how many vixens will be after him. My chair was facing away from them. They hadn't noticed me. But I wanted to hear what Gillian Carver would say. Would she also think that helping me was a mistake? Gillian Carver seemed to flip through the documents on her desk, saying carelessly, "My Gareth is a perfectionist idealist, with his own ideas and goals. I'm his follower, willingly following him." Gillian Carver spoke plainly, but I felt a slight tremor in my heart. Then I heard Rowena Chalkley's contemptuous voice. "You're disgusting." I turned around directly, not sparing any feelings. "You're the disgusting one, Rowena Chalkley. You and your toy boy are far more disgusting." The two of them were startled by me. Gillian Carver, realizing I had heard what she said, looked away awkwardly, her ears turning red. Rowena Chalkley wasn't angry. She turned to Gillian Carver and said coolly, "Your boyfriend was very moved by what you just said. You could take this chance to turn him into your husband." Gillian Carver seemed unable to believe what she had heard. Staring at Rowena Chalkley, she whispered, "Isn't that a bit hasty?" Rowena Chalkley shrugged innocently. "Well, he just nodded." Gillian Carver immediately looked at me. I smiled and nodded again. But the next moment, Gillian Carver ran straight out. I called out anxiously, "Where are you going?" "We still have the celebration party tonight. Let them wait," followed by a bang of the door. Only Rowena Chalkley and I were left in the room. Her smile disappeared, and she said, "Congratulations." I thought for a moment and asked seriously, "She really doesn't have any old flame, right?" Rowena Chalkley rolled her eyes, not wanting to deal with me. She turned to leave, but her phone rang. She looked at it and stopped. The two of us, neither strangers nor friends, stood awkwardly for 10 minutes. Gillian Carver burst in, shoving a large bouquet of vibrant roses into my arms. Then she glanced at Rowena Chalkley. Next, she got down on one knee before me. "Will you marry me?" I was a bit shocked, quickly pulling her up. "Silly girl. It's not for women to propose to men, is it? Well, will you or won't you?" The young lady was insistent on an answer, and only after getting my affirmative response did she, as if by magic, pull out a men's ring and slip it onto my finger. The whole process took no more than 3 anxious minutes. Then she stood up, but didn't hug me first. Instead, she rushed towards Rowena Chalkley. "Me?" Snatching the phone Rowena Chalkley had been using to take photos, Gillian Carver's fingers moved quickly over it. Then she sighed in relief. Seeing my confused look, she smiled. "I asked her to film it. The evidence is conclusive. You have the right to remain silent, but anything you say may be used as evidence in court. Save it for the register office staff tomorrow." It was truly sweet, if exasperating. I took the initiative to hug Gillian Carver. "All right, Miss Carver. Take me home and lock me up for life." Rowena Chalkley beside us shook her head. "You two are still the most disgusting." I disagreed, also shaking my head. "No, no, no. Your toy boy's acting is the most disgusting." Gillian's side story. I had never seen a lad like him before. He said, "Dad, rest in peace. I'll take care of Mum." Then, in the freezing waters of the Thames, with temperatures barely above zero, he played a floating corpse. His dedication to the craft put those pampered pretty boys to shame. Shivering as he came out of the water, no one paid him any mind. But the sight of a chicken leg in his lunchbox was enough to make him smile. He was so vivid, so alive. I couldn't take my eyes off him. As my fondness grew, I realized it must be love. So I arranged to meet him through a mutual friend. He seemed so natural with his affectionate gestures. I thought he fancied me too. I believed we were together. But as we spent more time together, it all began to feel false. I thought if he truly cared for someone, it shouldn't be like this. So I ended it. Then I heard his too. It was infuriating. I wanted to get back at him, to see him beg and cry, to hear him say, "Actually, I fancy you too." But looking into his clear eyes, I knew I couldn't do anything. After he left, I drowned my sorrows in drink or buried myself in work, like someone nursing a broken heart. Yet at night, I couldn't help but wonder if I had done something wrong. There were no answers, and I couldn't control myself. So, like a lovesick fool, I kept going back to him. I knocked on his door, saw him genuinely handsome and unguarded. His messy hair was slightly curled. I couldn't resist ruffling it. He bristled like a little lion. In that moment, I realized this was the real him, the one I loved. Meredith and Rowena's interest in him had clearly surpassed their usual behavior. I wonder if they had noticed it themselves. But I'm a businesswoman. I believe in carrot and stick. I drove away all the competition. I admit I was a bit underhanded, but I'm not that bad. Am I? I'll treat him well. After all, I truly love him.